What's up, guys? You guys fellow Druid enjoyers also that are tired of the pulverized meta? You want to try the Werewolf out and you don't want to be throwing around tornadoes? I got a build for you. Crowd control doesn't exist with this build. It's pretty simple to manage. There's no resource management. It's all basic skills. Kind of showcase a little bit of it here. You get to move super fast, which is always fun. Werewolf should be fast. You get to shove things out of the way with the bear every now and again when you need to. But really, this is just a great build. It's a true melee build. One that's not having to rely on any kind of range, any kind of spirit generation, anything like that. I'm currently working on tweaking it for PvP also. But this is just a lot of fun. Super survivable. Clears rooms, clears bosses. Pretty simple build, so check it out. We're gonna go over to skills. Noticing that everybody's running Werebear. I try to force Werewolf on anything in any game that I've ever played. I know that you've seen probably the Stormwolf before, but this one's a little bit different. It's not as hard to build. It does have the one build around, of course. You know, you need the crone staff, right? So I mean, this thing is just the most important, so I'll start here. So this starts with the claw is now storm skill. It also casts storm strike at the same time, so it has two things happening at the exact same time. So super important because it's going to make our basic attack a lightning attack, and that's what we really want. Going through the gear kind of quickly here, and I have a builder. I'll have a builder linked for everything here too. But going through the gear, I'll start with the necessary items, and then what I would switch, because I don't have it's not perfect for me right now, and I'll have some examples of how this build kind of tears things apart. You saw it tear apart the butcher just a couple seconds ago, so I'll show you how this build kind of gets going and what can make it better. But obviously we need this, so if you don't have this, don't start here yet. But once you have this, that's pretty much it, because there's a aspect dungeon that you can imprint this one here, the lucky hit. So up to 10%, because I got the imprint. Obviously 20% would be better. Dealing lightning damage to overload target for 3 seconds, causing 2,478 additional damage to surrounding enemies. So this is going to be huge. Doesn't sound like a lot, doesn't sound great, but you'll see why. And then those little purple rings around the things that I'm hitting with it, that's really why this build takes off. So these two are really your biggest things. You have to have this. This helps it just take off. And then there's a couple things here. So let's start with the rings. Obviously what we want is critical strike chance, lucky chance, increased lucky chance, anything to do with increasing critical strike chance. The damage doesn't matter so much, but lucky hit is what we really want on most things. So you want to have a high lucky hit chance. So I got lucky with this one being kind of middle. This one doesn't have any lucky hit on it, unfortunately. So really everything you want to roll lucky hit and crit strike chance. The next one is going to be the imprinted Grizzly Rage. So we want this to increase, right? So the higher the better. 5 seconds is the max. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use an amulet like this, where we now turn into a werewolf instead of a grizzly bear. And then we also get to move super quick. So I'll show you how fast this thing moves too. But these two are pretty necessary, especially for the high damage, for like your elites, your bosses. When you're in a pack of things and you're just overwhelmed, the transferring into a werebear is huge, because, well, the dire rage, I guess, because the dire werewolf instead of the grizzly bear, but you'll be unstoppable because the werewolf trait gives you unstoppable. When you're unstoppable, these boots, while you're unstoppable, you can freely move through enemies. So super important. Again, I really want to get some better boots. To me, the evade chance, so right under where it says armor, that can always change with your boots, I'm sure you're probably aware, but the evade gives it should say like 50% movement on ancestral, and then when you upgrade it, it'll go to 75%, or I'm sorry, on sacred, but on ancestral to be even better. So obviously want to get these ancestral, but I really like the evade. For this one, I have a lot of really good rolls. So armor with werewolf form, dodge against distant enemies, so anybody shooting things at me. Increased movement speed is always great. Fortified generation is also super good. The pants can be better. There are a pair of unique pants that when you use a potion or when you receive healing, it goes above and beyond creating a barrier. So that's super important for this build if you have any issues with surviving, like if you're doing tiers above torment, right? So if you're doing like your nightmare dungeons that are more, this guy's messing with me in my video. This is torment, by the way. I'm level 72, so they're pretty easy. But this one's a good placeholder for now. If, like I said, if you can't find the other uniques, really the only one that you need is this one, and then this comes from an aspect dungeon. So super easy. Oops, sorry, this one. Sorry, the lucky hit. But this is a good placeholder until I get those unique pants. This earthen might. So really, you can kind of mix and match with these because these are all technically like weapon skills, weapon aspects. So the earthen might, super easy to imprint because there's no range on it. So I just have it on my gloves because I want my amulet to do more than what the gloves would do, right? So you get more movement speed. But ideally, I would like to put the lucky hit on my amulet. So that's what you really want. And I'll have that in the builder. But these are pretty good too. So lucky hit chance, want that for sure. That's like a necessity with this. That's really all I got from it though, other than the 5% to heal 107 or 708 life, which is pretty good. Can be better, obviously. I'm a big fan of the Mad Wolf's Glee. That's why I'm sitting here in werewolf form. Gives me some movement speed. I'm going to be poisoning my enemies, so I'm taking less damage from enemies that are poisoned. Obviously, this one's not very good. I haven't gotten an ancestral one yet, but it still makes the build better. Not a necessity, anything with like armor generation or whatever. But this is obviously a pretty good one because it's going to up my ranks of werewolf skills. So that claw, things like that. Tempest Roar, super good too, just because it's going to make my storm skills werewolf skills. So kind of plays off of the Mad Wolf Glee here. And then my debilitating roar, I'm sorry, my blood howl. Alright, so Spirit Boons, pretty simple on a couple of these here. So we're going to take 10% less damage from elites. That one's pretty quick. There's no really other option for that. This one you can choose either or. I basically had the 5% increased critical strike chance for a bit because the better your crit strike chance, the more lucky hits you hit, the more your earthen might procs, things like that. But you could also have the 10% attack speed. So I think I like this one better because attacking more often is better. Extend the duration of your ultimate skills by 25%, so that's an easy choice as well because you want to be in that dire werewolf form more often. Then this one you can play around with. So I have my pairing with the snake. It's one of these three, but this one is a necessity to me. So every time that you hit a critical strike, you heal. It makes it tanky. This one is the one that I've been using more often now because it's more damage. More damage is always better. At 20% chance, you're almost always hitting an extra, $1,000 to $1,200 or $1,200 not dollars damage. And then this one too. So if you don't have a good roll on your ring or whatever you put the extending your Grizzly Rage through, then that one might be good just because you want to reduce that cooldown as much as you possibly can. I have a pretty good roll, so I'm going to go with the extra damage, but completely up to you. Alright, so skills. So super simple on this one. Because of the Crone Staff, our Claw is going to become Storm Strike as well. So we're going to cast both at the same time by just casting Claw. So we're going to put 5 points into this, 5 points into that. Max those out. Take this one out to deal some additional target damage there. So you're chaining to multiple targets. This one, we want to attack twice. In the next section, we want to make sure that we're getting the critical strike chance against close to enemies. I like to run a little bit faster, so I put some skill points into here. These are movable. If you don't like it there, that's fine. Earthen Bulwark, go to Preserving, just 1 point into that just to get to Preserving. This is when we're off of our Grizzly Rage cooldown. We need to get out of the way. Only 1 point into Blood Howl. I have some item contribution here, but take that one out to the attack speed. This is another one of those throwaway points. I was having a little bit of hard time with the resistances, so I went ahead and threw that in there. Nothing in companions, don't have to worry about that at all. This one's kind of where we start to dump a lot of points though. So Hurricane, just 1 point into this. This one out to the 20% less damage because we don't want to be getting hit so hard. Everything's going to be within this range. This is kind of how the build works. Make sure that you have 1 into poison enemies are slowed, so you can get critical strikes with werewolf skills cause poison damage. So that's how we're going to do our poison damages. This one, poison enemies take an additional 30% critical strike damage, so I like that. We're going to do some PvP in. I would recommend putting some extra points into this. I only have 1 point in the trample because this is really just going to get me out of situations. I don't want to waste some points on anything here because I have enough fortify. I don't need to worry about anything like that. So 3 points into the into the elemental exposure. So we're going to be causing people to be vulnerable, which is super important. These are those throwaway points I was telling you about. So you pick one of the two, excuse me. But I like them both. That's just how I want to roll. So I want to make sure that I have a lightning bolt coming down causing damage, but one at least to get to one of these. We want to have 3 in each. So we want to immobilize people because if they're immobilized, then they count as ground control, so bigger lucky hit chance. If it's already immobilized, the lightning damage is increased by 18%, so pretty big. And then this is dealing damage to vulnerable enemies. And then the lightning bolt's going to hit for pretty big numbers there. This I didn't worry a whole lot about. Basically, it's just like 6% extra damage. I mean, if you're hitting elites, then it's 10% more, so it's nice. I want to have some extra fortify. So when you, this increases your fortify amount, and then when you get hit, you have a chance to fortify for your life. So when you're in the middle of a bunch of baddies, you go. Grizzly Rage all the way out, obviously, because that's going to be turning us into the werewolf. And then Earthen Might, so that skill procs off of that. So the Earthen Might there. So that's kind of how the skills work. That's pretty much it. Super simple. So super quickly, before you listen to my Paragon ramble, check out my planner. It's linked in the comments. Much easier to follow than my Paragon planner. Sorry about that. Alright, so you guys ready for the tricky part? Paragon boards, everybody loves it. Super confusing, but awesome because you can really customize your player here. I kind of played around with this. Mine's not, I'm sure it's not optimized. Play around with yours, do whatever you think is best. That's completely cool. I'll hit the talking points of it, and I have a planner in the comments that I would kind of go out on. But as far as this goes, I just go full damage side, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing damage. I don't have any issues with staying alive quite yet. I've done Nightmare Dungeon tier 37s with this. Just kind of playing around a little bit with it. So once I get real serious, I think that I'll be pushing 40s, 50s pretty easily. I know that's not super high, but this isn't an S tier build, so get off my back on that. This first glyph, though, I would do Werewolf. Make sure you get enough willpower to hit the 40. You want to make sure you get that damage reduction, plus you get some extra power, so go that way. I went up and grabbed the rare node just to get the extra damage, to get the resistance, and then I went out the power side. First board attached is the Tendril board. So with this one, I walked up to get Tendril right away as quickly as I could, and then same idea to an extent, same idea to go grab the glyph. So the glyph on this one, I have Exploit. So I'd say Werewolf Exploit are probably the best 2 glyphs to start. Make sure you're getting enough dexterity on the Exploit to get the extra bonuses there. And then I went out and walked out, got the rare nodes just for that. I don't have much difficulty with staying alive, so not a big concern. Grabbed some rare glyphs nodes, along the way, and went out the top. So second board I attached is going to be the Heightened Malice board. If there are 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby, you deal increased damage. So we're going to be poisoning everybody, so when you're in a pack, you're dealing a lot more damage to them. And then same idea. As you can see, my Paragon's not all the way out. My planner is going to be much better on the in the comments. So just check that out. Much easier for everything instead of me trying to walk you through this and bouncing back and forth. All right, so let's get into some of the gameplay with it here. So I'm going to kind of showcase what it looks like when you're in the middle of a big pack. So a lot of survivability, everything's getting poisoned as we can see. I am in the PvP zone. I am on the Seething Abomination, and he's got a couple of champions around him. I'm still alive even though I'm not really killing. So then I go for the champions. Now I go after him, go for his second champion, and that's pretty much curtains for him. So that's how that works. Goes through, clears packs pretty quickly, clears bosses extremely quickly. Of course, in the PvP zone, things are a little bit different as far as I think it's almost always one level above you. So remember how I told you crowd control would not be an issue with this build at all. So I'm standing in the middle of a couple of elites with chilling winds on me, and just kind of showing what the dire wolf form looks like when you're unstoppable. So just kind of stand there, hit those things, keep going at them, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty simple. You can run through everything. You're not getting stun locked. You don't have to worry about all that crap. Again, taking out the elites super quickly. I'm in the middle of a lot of spires. This is a nightmare dungeon, by the way. I know it's only a tier 22, but still, I mean, it definitely showcases what it could do as far as crowd control. So that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate you coming out, checking out the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely one of my favorites, something that I've been running for a few days now. Check me out on stream if you'd like to see it in action. Ask me any questions that you got. Happy to go over what I can. Obviously no expert at this game, but I am having a lot of fun, and Druid is definitely something I've been looking forward to for a very long time. So I'm happy they did it right with the Werewolf. I think it looks pretty sick. Get to use lightning and storm skills in it also. But yeah, man, big damage. Hope to see you guys soon.